Hi everyone, I'd like to welcome you to Foodie Fridays. My name is Delano Hunter and I am the director of the DC Department of Parks and Recreation, and we are here on location at our culinary center at Kenilworth Recreation Center in Ward 7. And we have a very special guest, the CEO of Howard University Hospital, Miss Anita Jenkins. Thank you so much for joining us. What do you have on deck for us today?
So it is my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you everyone for being here. We're talking about eating well, and part of that is to start with home cooking. I know a lot of people don't have time, but if you take some time, and for instance, today we're making a vegetarian lasagna that's really delicious. It is low fat, but it does not have any meat in it. So we're using Beyond Burger today. We're gonna make an excellent lasagna with spinach and ricotta. So I hope you enjoy.
Hey, I will, and I can't wait. Now, you are extremely busy as a professional, and I can imagine it can be difficult to find time to cook and to cook healthy. So please tell us about these recipes and what inspired you to cook in this manner.
So first of all, we have a family. My husband and I have 5 adult children, but cooking at home not only just brings love, it tastes delicious, and it is fundamentally more healthy for you. When you're using fresh ingredients, when you're cooking from scratch, you don't have to cook every night and spend an hour and a half. You're going to be able to make this lasagna, once these noodles are prepared, you're going to be able to make this lasagna in 20 minutes. Now, it does bake for a while, so this might be one where you make it on a Sunday or a weekend, and then you eat from this dish for quite a while. And it is freezable.
All right, well, I can't wait to learn. I'll be here to take notes. Let's get started.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Hello everyone, my name is Anita Jenkins. I'm the CEO of Howard University Hospital, and I'm super excited to cook for our family. Healthy foods can be delicious. And so I want to start with a vegetarian lasagna. It is not vegan because I am using cheeses. I'm going to start with putting our lasagna noodles in. 1 box of lasagna noodles will give you far more than you need for this dish. But I just want to show you they always fit in a pot. I put a little oil in it. Some people don't, but I put a little oil in it just in case they start sticking together, that starch in it. And so the lasagna goes in and we start boiling it 4 to 5 minutes al dente, not too soft. You've got to be able to handle it, and so you just want to make sure that it's working well. While the lasagna is in the pan, we are going to talk about Beyond Beef. It's a little pricey, but once you compare it to beef, it is just worth it. It's worth it to eat well. Beyond Beef is a plant-based meat substitute, and there are a lot of them out there. It's a little bit more expensive than, there's a brand called Morningstar Crumbles that you can use in this recipe as well. So Beyond Beef, you take this and you put it and cook it and just treat it like beef. For this recipe, I'm gonna throw a little sauteed onions in. I think I'll put those in first. I'm going to throw a few onions in, put that Beyond Beef in, and just stir it around like you do beef. It's really not that hard. I throw a generic, you'll be able to find this anywhere, Italian seasoning, and a little black pepper. But you open it up like this. Look, it behaves like beef. And you throw it in there, and there's your beef. This is a 3-layer lasagna. It's going to have this meat substitute, Beyond Beef, in there. So it's going to have your veggie beef. And so let me turn this up a little bit, get that going. It's going to have veggie beef. It's going to have spinach. This is 1 frozen pack of spinach. It's a family pack about this big. Spinach cooks down, but it will be a complete layer of spinach. And then we have ricotta cheese. This is 1 large container of ricotta. Now when you say, oh, this is a lot of cheese going on, this is skim milk ricotta, this is low-fat mozzarella, and this is Parmesan, which has a very low fat. And so when you start talking about healthy meals, there's ways to scale this down. You do not have to put any salt in your vegetable lasagna. There are natural salts in your cheeses, and that'll give it enough flavor. By the time you put your Italian seasoning, by the time you put a little garlic powder in it, trust me, it will taste delicious. I'm going to continue, put a little garlic powder. If I wasn't as lazy as I am today, I'd actually chop up garlic, but that's not happening, right? So I'm going to, and this is a generic, and I say generic because you can find lots and lots of Italian seasonings. And it's got a little bit of sage in it, and it's got oregano, and it's got, this one just has oregano and a little sage and organic garlic. It's got that in it. So when you put that in there, it has that taste. That's the same taste that you see in Italian foods and pizzas and things like that. So that's very exciting. Let's get this going here a little bit higher. Cooking lasagna is pretty simple. You put it in the pan, cook it for 4 or 5 minutes. If you forgot what time it is, just pick it up with some tongs and you'll see that that lasagna is softening. When it gets soft enough to handle but not too soft that it falls apart, your lasagna is ready. I'm sure there's a more scientific way to do it, but this is how I cook at home. Get those onions sauteing, and you'll know that the onions, you don't want your onions so much that they're crunchy, of course. You want them to just clarify, get soft enough to eat. Then they're melded into that recipe. It's delicious. While I'm ready, the order in which we were going to fix this is tomato sauce. I put tomato sauce on the bottom of my lasagna. You know why? Because have you ever had it stick to the bottom of the pan? So I start with that. While we're getting our lasagna noodles ready, I just put a layer of pasta sauce. Let's talk about pasta sauces. You can pay a lot of money for organic pasta sauces, and they are just that. They're organic, there's no GMOs, there's no things like that. And they have far less sugars in them. So, but if you can't find that, or if that's not accessible to you, a regular pasta sauce will do. It's got a little bit more sugars in it. The Pregos and the Ragus have a little bit more sugar in them, and it tastes like that. I even know people that add sugar to their spaghetti and add sugar to their chili, to tomato sauces, but I do not. This pasta sauce is actually a mushroom pasta, so. If you take a look at that, that's cooking up just like beef. There you go. It's an aluminum pan. It's sticking a little bit. I'll keep my eyes on it. Plus I have it a little bit too high. Now to be clear, it's not like it's raw. Vegetarian meat or meat substitutes are actually already cooked because they're plant-based. But you want them to get a little bit of a sear to them to give it that grilled flavor, to give it some of that, that cooked taste that beef gets to it. So we're gonna very quickly put this in. This is a recipe. If the onions aren't quite done, guess what? We've got to bake the lasagna, so they'll finish cooking in the lasagna. All right, let's check on that and off. Oh, look at that. So this is just about ready. Here we go. Now there are some people that drain and wash and all of that stuff, but for the sake of time, let's just pull these out of the water and line up our lasagna noodles. They could stand a little bit more, but they're okay. And in a pan this size, they will take up the entire strip. 1 strip, 2, right there, and then 3. There we go. There you go. I'm gonna pull this a little bit closer. First layer is on the way. That one container of Beyond Beef makes an entire layer on your lasagna dish. Look at that. So here's your beef layer. All of my layers have the same. I take a little, a little mozzarella cheese. That's the cheese that's on top of pizza. And it's made from skim, and while it has protein in it, a serving of mozzarella cheese has about 7 grams of protein. I put a little Parmesan in between, a layer of mozzarella, Parmesan, some spices, and then 1 layer of pasta sauce. Just take a spoon and spread it a little bit. That's your first layer. What's fun about lasagna, that next day when you cut that lasagna, it looks like, it just cuts and you can seal those layers beautifully. Just lay that next 3, my pan fits these perfectly, the next 3 or 4 strips of lasagna noodles. Now, if you are gluten-free, which a lot of people are, gluten, which is made from wheat, it just troubles their belly. And so if you are, there are definitely gluten-free pastas available for you. They cook a little differently. You just have to pay attention to them in the water. They would not tolerate sitting there like this, in my experience. Alrighty, there's that next layer. Spinach comes next. This is simply 1 package of frozen spinach. You don't have to cook it, it's already ready. I've made the lasagna and put it in there frozen. So this one's thawed, and so you just put that right there. And there's your spinach layer. Spinach, as you know, is an excellent vegetable. So this adds fiber and vitamins, even mini greens, and we'll talk about that. Mini greens even have protein in them. So that's really good to know. Here's our layers. Mozzarella cheese. Then make it taste good with some garlic powder. Never garlic salt, guys. You don't need that added salt. Garlic powder. Italian seasoning, which is mostly oregano in this one. A little Parmesan. And then another layer of pasta sauce. Look how quick this is coming together. And you will have a meal, even if you cut this into 12, depending on the size of your family, it will last a while. And then if you really want to hold it for a little while, it does freeze nicely. So that's your next layer. And so on to our next layer of pasta. I'm trying to find some perfect pieces here. I haven't stirred up and broken up a little bit, but guess what? I'm going to quote a famous chef that said, "Your guests will never know." Actually, she said it after she dropped something on the floor. She picked it up. Have you ever seen that? That was the famous French chef. What's her name?
Which one, Julie Child?
Julie Child said it. The meat slipped out of her hands. It fell. She picked it up and she said, "Your guests will never know." so I'm not doing that though. But this is your next layer. Your next layer is ricotta cheese. This is your last inner layer. Ricotta is a cheese. It's also high in protein and low in fat. And there's most of the time you'll see lots of containers that say it's skim ricotta, and it's a type of prepared cheese that has a very mild flavor. So you would love that. This ricotta cheese, this is 1 large container of ricotta cheese, does an entire layer. So as we finish adding our ricotta cheese, it will stay intact. It'll stay, and you'll see that nice white layer in your vegetable lasagna. And it's really beautiful to see. Part of the battle of eating healthy is to make it look good. I do the same thing to all of our layers. Ricotta cheese. Oh, ricotta, get there faster, ricotta. Ricotta cheese, mozzarella cheese, Parmesan for flavor, a little garlic salt, and some more Italian seasoning, which is mostly oregano, and we're still going to, off camera. And then we're still going to add pasta right on top of that. The pasta sauce really helps it stay really juicy. Now I make a purely vegetable lasagna with no Beyond Meat in it, right? And in that I add grated carrots and grated zucchini. But you've got to watch that one. That one's going to spill over into your oven. It's going to smoke. You're going to have juice in the bottom. It's a big hot mess. But it's delicious too. And so we added all of those. This is our last layer. This is the top layer. And I have seen, in fact, in preparing for this series, I said, do people put one more layer of noodles on top? And some do, some don't. I do. So I take another layer for my final presentation. That's okay, we'll make this look pretty. For the final presentation, get that layer up there and then put a nice layer of cheese on top. Okay, so again, looks messy now, but your guests will never know. All right, I think this is fine. This will look good. So to finish off your lasagna, simply add that final layer of pasta on top. Add some more mozzarella, and you know, there's nothing like cheese. So you add some more mozzarella and some more mozzarella. Yeah, you want to make it so you kind of can't see the noodles or the pasta sauce. Get over it. So I probably would even add even more to that. And then Parmesan cheese, what it does, not only does it add flavor, it tends to add a little bit of a texture once it bakes, and so that really makes it delicious. I do add even on top some more garlic powder, not garlic salt. Get that off your shelf. You don't need it. And a little Italian seasoning. Now, chefs would tell you, I don't have my little cloth, clean up the rim of that dish, and you want to make sure it doesn't burn. And here's your vegetable lasagna. Your vegetable lasagna needs cooked inside. I cook mine, I don't know, as long as 45 minutes, sometimes an hour, but that first 45, you want to go ahead and put some foil on top. You put some foil on top so that the spinach gets cooked, those flavors meld together, those onions cook down, and then for the last 10 minutes or so, take that off and let that cheese brown like the top of a pizza, and it's really delicious. So we're going to put this in the oven, and we're going to wait to eat, right? So our lasagna is finished. We put that in the oven. Oh, love it, love it, love it. So you know, you haven't cooked until the smoke alarm goes off. So down in the bottom of that oven back there are some spilled pasta. As you know, as it heats up, it expands, and those juices get going, and they do spill over. Take a look. Look at the side of the lasagna. You're able to see the spinach, the meat. On the top, it's nice and done, and we have a delicious meal. When you cut this meal, it is a full meal. You don't have to add a whole lot of other foods. You can eat some salad on the side, but you will have fed your family well, and you'll enjoy this. I hope you enjoyed this recipe today. Thank you.
Now I am looking forward to this lasagna dish, Miss Anita. It looks amazing, it smells amazing, and guess what? I brought my appetite with me today. Now I did work out this morning. I got my cardio in. What are some of your favorite cardio exercises?
So my husband and I have stationary bikes at home. Okay. So when it's rainy or if it's cold, we do that at home. But one of the best exercises for anyone is actually getting out and walking. The act of propelling your body and moving